This is a story about collaborative problem solving, featuring Pip and the Great Acorn Harvest. Deep in the whispering woods, autumn was the busiest season of all. Leaves glowed gold and orange. The air smelled crisp and sweet. Everywhere, animals hurried here and there with tiny baskets, busy paws, and serious faces. It was time for the Great Acorn Harvest. Every animal in the forest had a job to do, to make sure the community had enough food to last through the freezing winter. The hardest workers of all were the chipmunks, who belonged to the prestigious Acorn Gathering Guild. One of those chipmunks was Pip. Pip was small, speedy, and full of energy. Pip had bright eyes, fluffy cheeks, and a little green worker's vest that never sat straight. Pip wanted very badly to be good at the harvest, but every morning the same thing happened. The other chipmunks scampered up trees and filled their baskets quickly. Pip tried to keep up. Pip really did, but somehow things kept going wrong. If a branch was slippery with dew, Pip would freeze for a moment too long. If an acorn slipped from Pip's paws, it felt like the whole morning was ruined. If someone else reached a pile of acorns first, Pip's chest would grow hot, eyes would sting, and everything inside would feel too big. One bad moment turned into another. Pip would drop the basket, chatter angrily, and sometimes refuse to work at all. By midday, most baskets were full. Pip's was not. The guild master was an old badger named Barnaby. He wore a foreman's hat, a rusty brown vest, and a frown that seemed to live on his face. Barnaby watched Pip with a heavy sigh. "This chipmunk needs to try harder," he muttered. So Barnaby tried a reward. "Pip," he said, holding out a special candied walnut that sparkled in the sunlight, "if you fill your basket today, this'll be yours." Pip's eyes went wide. Pip wanted that candied walnut more than anything, so Pip tried and tried and tried. But later that morning, a gust of wind swept across the branches. Pip's neat little pile of acorns rolled away in every direction. Pip stared. Then Pip yelled. Then Pip kicked the dirt and ran off with an empty basket. The next day, Barnaby tried a punishment. "If you do not do your job," he said, "you may not join the evening campfire songs." That hurt even more. That night, while the other animals gathered near the warm fire, singing and laughing together, Pip sat alone on a rock in the chilly dark. Pip really did want to do well. Pip did not want to fall behind. Pip did not want every hard moment to feel so big. But no matter how hard Pip tried, the problem kept coming back. The next afternoon, Madam Hoot came to the clearing. Madam Hoot was the wisest owl in the woods. She had soft brown feathers, large golden eyes, and a calm voice that made others want to listen. She watched Pip for a while. Then she turned to Barnaby. "I do not think Pip is giving you a hard time," she said quietly. "I think Pip is having a hard time." Barnaby blinked. "But gathering acorns is simple." "For some," Madam Hoot said. "Not for everyone." She pointed toward a nearby apple tree. Its branches were full of leaves, but not a single apple hung from them. "If a tree is not growing apples," she said, "we do not shout at it and call it lazy. We look more closely. Maybe it needs something. Maybe something is getting in the way." Barnaby said nothing this time. He just frowned less than before. The next morning, before the harvest began, Madam Hoot invited Pip to sit in a quiet, sunny patch near the stream. She did not scold. She did not bribe. She simply sat beside Pip and said, "I've noticed mornings have been really hard for you. You're not in trouble. I just want to understand. What's making it so tough?" Pip looked down at the grass. At first, Pip only shrugged. Madam Hoot waited. After a while, Pip whispered, "I don't think I'm bad at climbing." "I don't think so either," Madam Hoot said. Pip took a breath. "It's the wet branches in the morning, They're slippery. When I slip, I drop everything. Then everyone else gets ahead. And I feel so angry and so rushed that I can't think properly anymore. It feels unfair. And then I just want to give up." Madam Hoot nodded slowly. "So the problem isn't that you don't care," she said. "The problem is that the wet branches make the job much harder. And once things start going wrong, everything feels too big." Pip looked up quickly. "Yes," Pip said. "Exactly." For the first time in a long while, Pip felt understood. Madam Hoot gave a small smile. "Well, my worry is that the forest still needs your help, and time is running out. We need a plan that works for you and still gets the acorns gathered." She tilted her head. "What ideas do you have?" Pip blinked. No one had asked that before. Usually grown-ups told Pip what to do. Usually they guessed. Usually they decided. But now Madam Hoot was asking Pip to think with her. Pip grabbed a little stick and drew in the dirt. "What if," Pip said slowly, "in the early morning I don't climb the high branches first? What if I gather the acorns that have already dropped near the roots and under the bushes while everything is still wet? Then, later, when the sun dries the branches, I can climb higher." Madam Hoot leaned in and studied the drawing. "That," she said, "sounds like a very smart plan." Pip's tail gave a hopeful little flick. The next day, Pip tried it. In the morning, while dew still sparkled on the high branches, Pip searched below the trees and gathered all the acorns that had rolled into the grass, the roots, and the bushes. And when the sun rose higher and warmed the forest, Pip looked up. The branches were dry. Pip climbed. This time, Pip did not slip. This time, Pip did not panic. This time, Pip's basket began to fill. By lunchtime, Pip was grinning from ear to ear. The basket was half full already. After that, not every day was perfect. Sometimes acorns still bounced away. Sometimes a branch still shook. Sometimes Pip still felt that hot, frustrated feeling starting to rise. But now Pip had a plan. Pip knew how to pause. Pip knew what was making the job harder. Pip knew there was more than one way to solve a problem. And day by day, basket by basket, Pip got better. By the end of the season, Pip stood proudly in front of a great shining pile of acorns. Barnaby stared at it, then at Pip. Finally, he held out his paw. "Well done," he said. Pip shook it. Above them, Madam Hoot watched from a branch, looking quietly pleased. Barnaby cleared his throat. "I was wrong about you, Pip." Pip looked up. "You were never lazy," Barnaby said. "You just needed a better way." That evening, as the sun turned the whole forest gold, Pip climbed onto a tree stump and looked out at the glowing woods. Then Pip smiled and said, almost as if speaking to anyone who had ever felt stuck, "Sometimes I thought something was wrong with me, but really something was getting in my way. Once I understood the problem, I could find a better plan. And that is worth remembering when work feels hard, when you fall behind, when everyone else seems faster. It does not always mean you are lazy. Sometimes it means you need help. Sometimes it means you need a different strategy. Sometimes it means you and a caring adult need to solve the problem together. And if you ever forget, remember Pip's words, I can do better if I can, not if I want to."